Hey, what's going on? My name is Matt and I'm here to share some information with you about a little bit of hair color. Okay, first things first, what you need to understand about hair color is that everything in the hair world kind of comes down to three main primary shades: red, yellow, and blue. So once you have those three primaries, what you've got to understand is that everything else is pretty much made up using those three primaries in different kind of mixtures. So if I was to take two of those primaries and mix them equal parts, say like red plus yellow, what we then get is orange. So equal parts of red plus yellow is orange, equal parts of blue and yellow is green, equal parts of red and blue is purple or violet. Once you have all that, everything else is also built out by mixing those primaries with other secondaries. So if I want to make yellow green, I have yellow plus what makes green. So that'd be yellow, yellow, blue. If I want to make blue violet, then I'm going to take blue plus what makes violet. So that's going to be blue, blue, red. All of that comes together to essentially create what we call the color wheel, or in professional language, we refer to it as the color map. So the color map that I've got brought up here is the color map for Paul Mitchell The Color XG. What you can see if you're looking around the outer edges here is what we refer to as our level system. So this level system ranges from levels 1 through 10. This gives us everything from level 1 being jet black all the way up to a level 10 being as light blonde as something could possibly be. The next thing I want to bring attention to is that those levels are lined up with specific shades. You'll notice that up near where it says level 910, it happens to coincide with yellow. And then when you look over here at level 6, it coincides with red-orange, and then level 5 happens to coincide with red, so on and so forth, right? That actually is what we call dominant pigment, which is also known as the underlying tone in the hair when we're actually formulating and oxidizing permanent hair color. So you might be asking, why do I want to know this? What does this pertain to hair color? And all I'm trying to do is make the hair brown. Well, if all you want to do is open up a box of brown hair color and mix it with developer and call it a day, you probably could get away with doing that. However, the trick and the nuance comes to understanding the actual laws of color. What we're going to do is we'll take a look at what we see right over here where it says yellow, right? That's one of our primary colors. You're going to see it a lot of times when you're doing blonding, highlighting, things like that. We understand that not everyone's walking around with yellow hair. Some people do, and that's really cool. You might have a guest who says, "Oh my God, too yellow. I need to do something about that." Well, what we would do is look straight across that color map and we're going to find violet, a secondary color that contains the other two primaries that are not present in yellow. That process is essentially what we would refer to as neutralization. We have yellow, blue, red. When you mix all three primaries, you wind up with a neutral color. The next thing that I want to share with you here is what our actual formulation steps are with Paul Mitchell The Color XG. So the first step that we want to do is find out the natural level of whatever hair we're working with using a level finder. This is talking about the levels that we see right around the outside here. So you want to identify where someone is in that chart. Our next step is that we're going to determine the target level, tone, and desired end result. I kind of think about it like if we're planning a trip, I know where I'm coming from. I also want to know where I'm headed. Step 3 there, determine the dominant pigment at the target level. We're talking about planning a trip, right? If I'm going somewhere, I also not only want to know where I'm going, but what to expect when I get there. And that's where that dominant pigment comes back into play. That final step is to refer to the color map to neutralize, enhance, or intensify anything that we see or want to subdue as far as hair's natural pigment. Let's go ahead and knock out a color formulation. So my guest is a natural level 6. The target level that this guest has is a level 5. Now this particular guest, they're okay with having a little bit of natural warmth. So we know we're working with a natural level 6. We're targeting a level 5. We want it to be something that's going to be a little bit natural. In this particular case, if I come over here to this level 5, I know I'm going to see red. I'm also not really all that worried about seeing the red. I'm cool with it. In addition to that, what we see moving through here are anything from red, red-brown, or our neutral and natural series that we have living in the middle. Then that gives us something that we can target by checking our swatch chart or our swatch books. Pretty much anything that I see that lives all the way across that chart at a level 5 becomes an option. Anything that goes across that. That's cool with me. Cool. So maybe in this case, we're gonna play it easy and we're just gonna go with that level 5 in and run with that. The next thing that I wanna figure out is what developer is gonna be best for us to use in order to make sure that we're gonna have permanent end results. So what you wanna do is you're gonna consult processing chart. We're gonna find our use cases right here in the first column, the developers that you wanna use in the second column, and then how long should it sit on the hair in that third column. We're going from a level 6 down to a level 5. So what that tells me is I'm not looking to lift at all. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm looking to deposit. All right? What that tells me then is I'm going to be using 10 volume developer, and then once I have that applied, 25 minutes should do the trick. And that's everything. What I would then do is I would mix my 5N equal parts with 10 volume cream developer, apply that scalp to ends, and we're off to the races. Let's look at another formulation scenario. We have a guest who's a natural level 5. She's looking to go to a level 7. In this consultation, this guest has said, oh, I don't really want it to be really brassy. If we can cool it off, that would be fantastic. Now, cool and warm, what that's referring to is essentially values as it pertains to finished tone. A warm tone is going to have a value that's going to look a little bit more consistent with what you'd see with reds, oranges, golds, coppers, things like that. Think fire. Fire is warm. Your cool tones are going to be things that are going to involve things like light pinks, your violets, your blues. Think of like ice and water, the tones you might see at dusk, right? So we want to cool off dominant pigment. So let's take a look at what we got. If I'm starting down here at a level 5, now I don't need to know the dominant pigment of where I'm starting. What I need to know is the dominant pigment of a level 7, which is going to have us at orange. What makes orange? That's going to be red plus yellow. I'm going to want to make sure that I'm going to use something that's going to live over near this blue in order to neutralize any orange tones that are going to show up due to her dominant pigment at a level 7. Maybe we could lean into some of our BA series. Any of these options would be fantastic to work with. Let's ride this one out kind of in the middle. We're going to use an N series once again, but now we're going to add something that's going to neutralize it. So I have 7N. 7N is going to leave us natural or neutral, but it's also going to leave us with a little bit of orange. I'm going to find something that's going to neutralize that. The dominant pigment would be neutralized by using something over here near blue, which directs us straight over here to our ash series. We can then add that into our formula. Okay, so we have a 7N, we have a 7A, and now we want to decide on a developer choice. So we're going to refer back over to our processing chart. Now remember, this one we're going from a level 5 to a level 7. So that tells me I'm going up not 1, but 2 levels of lift. This tells me that I can use 20 volume cream developer. The next question we want to ask is how much of everything do we need to mix together? What I need is for my hair color to turn out to be the exact same amount as the developer that I've chosen. A full bowl of color is going to total out to 3 ounces. So half of that 3 ounces would then give us 1.5 ounces. Now we've got to total out the rest of this to the same thing. So a really easy way to do this is to take that 1.5 and then divide that by 2, which is going to land you at 3/4 of an ounce of 7N, 3/4 of an ounce of 7A, and then 1.5 ounces of 20 volume. Mix all that together and you are ready to go. That's it. It's that easy. If you've got any other questions, just let me know. I'm happy to help.